check.
Okay, Jill and I will stay in the hall in case of an emergency.
Round one. Fight!
All right, let's do this, fellas.
I'm gonna steal my family's book back. And if Raleigh gets in my way, it's on.
Trouble, Gov?
These ones don't matter. We cut through.
He have some solid low post defenders who can lock you down in the paint.
All right, Kenny, we're just about ready for the tip to get this one started.
Federer to serve.
Go.
How the hell they find us out here?
These guys have been tailing me for weeks. Thought I lost them.
You alright?
It's nothing.
Looks like they set up a barricade to try holding the mechs off. Look out! Keep moving, we need to get...
Francisco, where you'll be feted by the art world. It's great exposure and it can kickstart a career in photography. So Stella and Alyssa, get it together. Taylor, don't hide. I'm still waiting for your entry too. And yes, Max, I see you pretending not to see me.
Holiday against Paul. And he lobs it up top!
Solidify!
Oh, did I catch you off guard? No problem. I'm just here to address this elephant in the room.
G Game Master 16.
PlayStation is a brand known for their innovation in the gaming industry. Everybody has heard of this franchise some way or another through commercials,
Escape to another world.
Hall of Famer, top seed, choreographer, mastermind, hero, world champion, pilot, all-pro, entertainer. What do you want to be when you grow up? Rated E for everyone. PlayStation 2, the only place to play.
Dear PlayStation, just got my PS3. So what you got?
What do I got? 2 words. Montage.
Tight.
PS3, now $2.99.
PlayStation.
PS4 for the players.
Welcome to a world where you can feel more. See with sound. A world where you can feel force at your fingertips. To a new world of immersion.
PlayStation. The internet or borderline promo posters. Each console era has provided its own charm with bringing more personality, advanced game mechanics, and capabilities as time goes on. The previous 4 generations have sold from 1 million to 155 million units across all of the PlayStation generations, costing a range from $2.99 to $4.99 as they were distributed throughout the years. In addition to consoles, PlayStation has their own TV network to produce shows for their library catalog called PlayStation TV, magazine covers, and PlayStation Plus, which allows the player to access online play and other benefits. Also, PlayStation is owned by a Sony division that deals with media entertainment called Sony Interactive Entertainment. There are also memorable franchises that exist in the memories of many people, including the local store cashier that ignores his wife and sits in a cold, dark room, drinking a cold coffee drink, spamming playtime for 1 million years. Where I'm going with this is that even though the Xbox competes with the Big P in many of their console releases, they still try to develop and create great games developed by competent studios like Insomniac Games, Naughty Dog, Pixel Opus, Sucker Punch Productions, Santa Monica Studio, Guerrilla Games, XDev, Bluepoint Games, Valkyrie Entertainment, Team Asobi, and so on. These studios developed many titles like Call of Duty, Street Fighter, Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, Gran Turismo, the WWE game franchise, Metal Gear Solid, GTA or Grand Theft Auto, Ape Escape, Sly Cooper, God of War, Final Fantasy, Ratchet and Clank, Max Payne, Tomb Raider, Kingdom Hearts, Silent Hill, Hitman, Made in NFL, Guitar Hero, NHL games, NBA games, FIFA soccer games, MLB games, Resident Evil, Tony Hawk games, PGA Tours, hack // games, Devil May Cry, UFC games, The Sims, what it should be called is a simp simulator, Parappa the Rapper, Uncharted, Guilty Gear, Digimon games, Olympic games, BioShock, Saints Row, Tales of series, The Last of Us, Mass Effect, and the list goes on. With all of these game franchises being iconic works of art, I'm going to overview each of the consoles that were released, and the handheld devices do not count. I might do that in another video, but for now, I'm going to go over the mainline consoles. Before I get to the PlayStation 1, let's go over the origin of how the PlayStation franchise came into motion as we start with the father of PlayStation, Ken Kutaragi. The one responsible for the PlayStation was Ken Kutaragi, an engineering technologist and businessman that was born in Tokyo, Japan in 1950. The former chairman and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment and current CEO of Cyber Owl Entertainment had a talent for taking electronics apart and seeing how its mechanisms work. From childhood to his teenage years, his passion for electronic objects motivated him to go to the University of Electrocommunications, where he got his electronics degree in the 1970s. After college, Kutaragi began working in digital research labs at Sony in the mid-1970s to dive deeper into his problem-solving skills as working with electronics. Later down the line, he gained a reputation for different projects, which included the early LCD, liquid crystal displays, that involve a flat panel display that uses a reflector to produce images in monochrome. In case some of you didn't get that nerd definition, the LCD is on applications such as LCD televisions, instrument panels, aircraft cockpit displays, calculators, or watches. Kutaragi also worked on a digital camera, which captured photographs and saved them in digital memory that replaced the old cameras that captured images on physical photograph film. He worked on many projects in his research until 1989. When he saw his daughter playing the Nintendo Entertainment System, he wanted to enhance the experience of video games. Sony, at the time, was not in the market for video games, but took an offer from Nintendo to create a sound chip for their new 16-bit system. The chip specific to the Super NES, the SPC 700, has graphics and sound coprocessors that execute tiling and simulated 3D effects, a palette of 32,768 colors, and 8-channel ADPCM audio, which is a leap over the original 8-bit NES that rival other 16-bit competitors like the Sega Genesis. Due to Kutaragi working on the chip, Sony's executives were very upset until the CEO of Sony at the time, Norio Oga, gave Kutaragi the okay to finish it and keep his Sony research job. So basically he gets nothing out of the deal. Even though a secret involved working on a chip for Nintendo led to Kutaragi having beef with the Sony execs, he convinced Norio Oga into setting a deal with Nintendo to make a CD-ROM add-on for the Super NES that would be on sale along with a Sony console that could play Super NES cartridges and CD games that could rival with another video game / entertainment company. And their CD-ROM console called the Sega CD that did not get that much praise due to its high price and many Sega Genesis ports from 1991 to 1993. This agreement between Sony and Nintendo gave rise to the console that we all know today, the PlayStation. Sony and Nintendo got to work right away as they gave the console name called the Super NES CD-ROM system, aka the Nintendo PlayStation, as they began the format development in 1988. Part of the agreement, Sony would be in charge of the Super Disc format, along with Nintendo having complete control of software licensing for music and movie software to Sony. But financial issues arose when the president of Nintendo, Hiroshi Yamauchi, thought the deal was a tough sell due to Sony being the provider for the S-SMP audio chip used in the SNES and required Nintendo developers to purchase an expensive development tool from Sony. Shigeo Moriyama, a former head of Sony Computer Entertainment, explained in an interview that through the deal, Nintendo would now make revenue off of the game sales but only the hardware sales. Since Sony told Nintendo they wanted to make non-gaming applications using CD-ROMs, aka compact disc read-only memory, and leave all gaming to Nintendo, it was not stated in the contract between the two companies. Seeing the flaws of this Sony/Nintendo deal, Hiroshi Yamauchi ditched Sony and went to partner with Philips, Sony's rival.
Got him!
Yamauchi didn't care, and sent his son-in-law as well as Nintendo of America president Mamoru Aokawa and Nintendo of America executive Howard Lincoln over to the Netherlands to have a better and favorable contract with Philips. So Yamauchi wanted to get one over on Sony due to their lousy business deals. Well played.
Nice.
Once the Consumer Electronics Show in the summer of June 1st, 1991 rolled around, it's there that Sony announced their newest SNES/CD compatible console, the PlayStation, to the public. The next day, Nintendo said screw you to Sony as they unveiled their partnership with Philips that would allow them to have more control over the profits, software, and licensing. As tension rose between Sony and Nintendo over the secret Philips deal along with Nintendo going behind Sony's back, in June 1992, a meeting was held to settle current disagreements between the two companies. Ken Kutaragi shared the prototypes on the Nintendo PlayStation for Nintendo and Sony to reach an agreement, and it worked, but not for long. Sony CEO Norio Oga felt embarrassed over Nintendo partnering with another company, and the bold criticism he got from his colleagues drove him to push Kutaragi and his research team from Sony headquarters to another Sony division, Sony Music, and retain the Super NES CD-ROM project for other uses to maintain on good terms with Philips for a MMCD development project, which, fun fact, led to the DVD's creation. By that time, the Sony and Nintendo rift was in limbo, and Sony canceled further development on the Super NES CD-ROM along with scrapping the prototypes. At that point in time, Sony Computer Entertainment America's CEO Steve Race said in a statement that Sony's deal with Nintendo never came to be, and decided to hold off on their games in development and I quote, wait for the next category. He also said that generally the gaming industry has a 7-year product life cycle, so we bided our time until we could get in on the next life cycle, end quote. What he's saying is that Sony had to go back to square one to think about creating their own console that would remain popular with certain games being played on that hardware. By that moment, Nintendo was working with Philips to create an add-on for the Super NES that has CD-ROM capabilities and be able to work on a machine Philips was developing and was going to release in late 1992 called the CDI, or Compact Disc Interactive System.
Say you're dancing to your favorite CD and someone says,
I can see it, man, I can see it!
And you're thinking, loser. But actually it's a premonition.
It's CDI, friends. Next generation CD player that works with your TV.
I see amazing movies, man. I see incredible games. I see this whole world. That guy creeps me out.
I think he's kind of interesting.
Now get into CDI starting at $2.99 with 3 titles free, including Burn Cycle.
Philips invents CDI. From now on, television isn't just something you watch, it's something you do. Philips invents for you.
This may look like an ordinary compact disc, but actually, it's an interactive encyclopedia. A stimulating match with a tennis pro. An interactive adventure through fantastic worlds. A glimpse into the world of Vincent van Gogh, or even a feature-length Hollywood movie. This is CDI, Compact Disc Interactive, a new world standard in multimedia home entertainment from Philips Electronics. You might expect to pay over $1,000 for an entertainment system that does this much, but now you can own a Philips CDI player for only $499. You can choose from more than 100 interactive titles by world-renowned publishers. CDI titles start at just $15. During this special TV promotion, we'll include Compton's Interactive Encyclopedia on disc, a $299 retail value, yours free during this limited time offer. Call the number on your screen now for a free brochure and for the location of your nearest CDI retailer.
Sony, on the other hand, was trying to figure out whether to use two-dimensional sprite graphics or 3D graphics as the focus for the PlayStation, according to Sony Computer Entertainment's producer Ryoji Akagawa and chairman Shigeo Maruyama. After a success with the 3D fighting game Virtua Fighter from Sega, they chose to go the route of 3D polygon graphics. To get started, they first had to create the logo for the PlayStation, which was designed by Manabu Sakamoto to be an optical illusion. In case you guys want to know what an optical illusion is, well, it is an image that tricks the eye into seeing something else other than what is actually in the image. You see, in this diagram of the PlayStation logo, it looks like a simple and colorful logo for Sony create for the PlayStation product. But if you focus and think outside the box, you can see that there is a P in the vertical position and the S in the horizontal position to fool the eye into thinking the logo is a weird shape. Instead, it's just two capital letters graphically positioned where they blend with each other to give the logo a nice sense of color saturation, with the P being red along with the three colors of yellow, a saturation of green and blue that are on the S. It also tends to look 3D, where it connects with the polygonal aesthetic of the console's theme. While the PlayStation logo was being created, Ken Kutaragi, CEO of Sony Music, Shigeo Maruyama, and Akira Sato of Sony Music Entertainment formed Sony Computer Entertainment Incorporated in 1993, which partnered with Sony Music to help attract fresh new talent to them and to help Sony Computer Entertainment Incorporated with manufacturing, marketing, and producing the discs for their games. With almost the whole team assembled, the last two people that joined the crew were the CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment Incorporated from the Sony headquarters, Terry Tokunaka, and CEO and president of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Fun Fact, which is the parent company for Sony Computer Entertainment of America, founded in 1994, that is stationed in New York, Olaf Olafsson. The PlayStation project from Sony Computer Entertainment Incorporated, their first project, was greenlit by Sony executives in 1993 after 3 years of development, and a man named Phil Harrison, soon to be the president of Sony Computer Entertainment Worldwide Studios, came onto the Sony Computer Entertainment Incorporated project to spread the word to different developers and publishers to make games for their new PlayStation platform. This is the start of our PlayStation journey, as we go over every console from the PlayStation 1 all the way to the PlayStation 5. Come to think that it was a dispute between two rival companies would lead to the invention of the PlayStation. Well, when you want lemonade,
life gives you lemons.
well, that was the first part of this 6-video miniseries of the evolution of the PlayStation console over the years. Additionally, there is one Super NES CD-ROM in existence and was built by an Instagram user called Gamer_IFan. It was sold for $350,000 and cannot be found anywhere else that combines the Sony PlayStation and the Super NES into one console. If you want to know more about it and Gamer_IFan, I recommend checking out his Instagram for game memorabilia. Anyways, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell down below so it will remind you of when the next video comes out. Now that this video is done, you can go out, walk, or party, play Mario Kart. I don't know, just enjoy yourselves. Have a good day and remember to keep your chill rate 100. See you in the next vid.